And hello, Kevin.
Hey, how's it going, Michael?
Good. I love doing the reveal, going to the actual stream with both of us on the screen like a few seconds early so people are surprised.
Sure. Hey,
Yeah.
Bruce.
Boo. Hi everyone. It's wonderful to have you here. As I always say every time, please tell me if the audio levels are strange, if I'm too loud or Kevin's too loud or etc. But how you doing today, Kevin?
I am doing just hanging out and enjoying a beautiful day
Nice.
and looking forward to this chat. So I've been looking forward to this all week. So very excited to
Nice.
be here.
Me
Yeah,
too. It's gonna be great.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't remember exactly the first time we met. I'm sure it was in Hamilton,
It was
um,
definitely in Hamilton.
but the year. I'm a bit hazy on the year, plus maybe some of the details of those festivals. But
Yeah, you don't really remember much
yeah,
sometimes, but
yeah,
I want to say like 2016, maybe.
yeah. It was probably 2015, 2016, somewhere in there.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, cool. But how is life in your neck of the woods right now as a working professional and person?
Oh well, it's going well. I'm doing a lot of this right now, but
Yeah.
not just one-on-one. Mostly my students. I have my full-time job is at a performing arts elementary school.
Cool.
So I teach. I have four classical guitar classes, second through fifth grade. Each class has anywhere from 10 to 12 students. So I do that, and then I also teach a general music class for K and one. Usually, if we're in person, since we're not now, but usually in person, it will be like
Nice.
sticks and ukuleles and boom whackers, that kind of stuff. So we have a lot of fun.
Cool.
And then I am doing some in-person teaching. I'm teaching at a small college here in Alabama, in Montgomery, where I live. It's the class guitar. So in person, we're all social distancing, and they have very very strict sort of parameters for everything that's going on. And um, so so far so good. Just
Nice.
trying to stay healthy. It's funny because the first time I went to class, they had me behind this like plexiglass thing, so I felt like I was like working in a convenience store.
Yeah.
You know, it's like here's my bulletproof, glass. It's not bulletproof. But
Yeah. Kevin in his
it's fun.
cube.
Yeah, it's
Um,
right. Evan in this cube.
yeah. Pablo Villafuerte says to audio bueno. Kevin could be maybe a tick louder. I turned him up a little
Okay.
bit, so I hope that's
All
better.
right.
I turned him up. Don't worry.
Okay.
Cool. Nice. And if you guys have questions for Kevin, please put them in the chat. We would love to hear from you and hear your thoughts on whatever we're talking about.
That's right.
We promise to acknowledge your presence. So we have a bunch of videos of your playing that we want to showcase,
Okay.
and one that I thought was really interesting, especially because I'm learning a piece by her as well, is this recording of this piece by Annette Krausbrink, who is Dutch, and I live in the
Yes.
Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did you discover this piece? Why did you choose to play this piece? What is this piece about?
Wow. I there's a Dutch guitarist who I'm a huge fan of, Jan Bart. And one of his recording that I bought several years ago had this piece on it, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. There's like a simplistic sort of thing. It almost kind of reminds me, and I hate to put this on the same level as the Poulenc Sarabande, but there's something similar to it, in my opinion, because the Poulenc it's a very simple but very profound piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of see this in a similar way. Um, I don't know. I just when I heard it, I just fell in love with it. I read through the piece the first time, and it felt natural to like I guess my music said it. So
Cool.
yeah,
Also, sorry, Frank Scott is saying less fuzzy. Maybe you do sound a bit fuzzy, Kevin. We'll work on that, guys, while we're playing the piece, and we'll sort it out. Maybe we have to go away from using the headphones again. We'll figure it out.
okay, yeah,
But no worries. So we're gonna listen to this piece by Annette Krausbrink, who's a great Dutch guitarist and composer. I haven't met her yet, but I'm learning her piece that she wrote for Marek Pez. I'm gonna butcher his last name. This Polish guy Marek Pezieski.
I know
This
what you're talking about.
yeah yes, and she wrote a really nice piece for him called Keramic's. Really cool. It's homage to
Yes,
Leopold Witosławski. So
yep, I know the piece.
yeah, so I'm learning that right now, which is a lot of fun. So I'm actually supposed to meet her and have a lesson with her sometime.
Oh, very cool.
I mean, it's a little hard with
Well,
COVID, but
she has written so much music. I mean,
yeah,
super prolific. Yeah, her what's the piece that I have that I was looking at? Raga Suite.
Yeah.
It's like 14 minutes long. It's a great work. Ominahe Segovia. I mean, there's just so many.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, well, we're going to listen to her piece now, Tendres, which you are playing, and you played in Hamilton, recorded by
Yes.
Mustafa Kamalidin, so shout out to Mustafa.
Yep.
And we'll figure out Kevin's mic while we do that, so don't worry, guys. Okay, see you all in a
Okay.
moment. Okay, I think we sorted out our audio issues, guys.
Let's hope.
Yes. Oh, you're much clearer now. Okay.
Oh, good, good. Okay.
Yes. Awesome.
All right.
We can hear you now. Woo!
Score.
We just have to repeat everything we said before this.
Okay, so I can't remember.
Yeah, thank you everyone who's watching. Yeah, that's a wonderful piece that you were playing there. I mean, I didn't get to hear most of it, but I listened to some of it earlier before the show.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It's one of those things. It's a shame it's so short because I just wanted more.
Yeah, just add some repeats. It's fine.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I have a short attention span, so I can't play.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Nice, cool, awesome. So yeah, you were describing before we listened to this that you're teaching a little bit in person, but a lot online.
Yes.
What has the experience been like, transitioning to mostly online? Like, how have you been handling it with your?
It's been tough, the hardest thing, and this is I've mentioned this to my other guitar teaching friends. Imagine trying to get a bunch of like 7 and 8 year olds in Zoom over Zoom.
Yeah.
It's been an issue. We spend 10 minutes saying, no, this is the tuning key. Turn it up, turn it away from you. Yeah, there you go. Nope, went too hot.
Yeah.
So that's been a challenge. It's so hands-on. I want to go in and just kind of move a finger around or
Yeah.
tell them to do this and that. But I think most of them are kind of getting it.
Yeah.
And they're playing and enjoying it. And I'm trying not to be, just because of the current state of the world, state of our country. I'm not as I guess crazy about them being perfect in every regard.
Yeah. I mean, that's not really
but,
the goal of teaching anyways, right?
Yeah, it's not. But some are like that. But I want them to enjoy it. I want them to love it. And I want them to just kind of have an outlet, especially during.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. I feel that a little bit too. I'm doing some online work, and it really depends on the kid, I feel like,
Yes, absolutely.
who it works with and who it doesn't. Frank Scott says, beautiful piece, well played. Thank you, Frank. And
Thank you.
Deborah Michael says, proud of your success. We're all proud of
Aw,
Kevin. We're
thanks,
all
yeah.
proud of Kevin's success.
Oh yes, Miss Michaels. How are you doing? She's awesome. Yeah, I grew up with her daughter back home.
Cool.
So wonderful people, wonderful family. So thank you for listening.
Awesome.
That's very nice.
It's wonderful. Cool. So I was also going to ask you, like, how would you describe your training and your philosophy? Like, how did you get to the point you were at today as a teacher, as a player? How do you view your development? And yeah, like what was that journey like? You don't have to give the full in-depth version, but what are the important things that kind of shaped you, would you say, coming to this stage in your life?
Wow, I don't know where to begin. I was talking to my mom last night about just kind of getting some clarity on some things that, like from the very beginning. I will say, I don't know if this kind of fits into what you're saying, but it might. I started playing guitar when I was about 8 years old, and it wasn't classical, just playing, steel string. I had a guitar with the strings were about 7 feet off the neck,
Nice. Yeah.
And I had my teacher was not even a guitarist; she was a pianist. And I went with one of my friends, and we both went to lessons. And the teacher would bang out notes on the piano, and we couldn't do it. She'd yell at us. So that was my experience. Why can't you play this? I was like, I don't know. It's a lot easier. Just go bing, and you don't have to hold the string down. And then once we started playing chord, that was it. Game over for me. And then before that, when I was still learning how to read notes and stuff, my mom told me a funny story. I guess my grandfather, I was born in Panama. My mom's Panamanian. So Spanish was my first language and everything. So when my grandfather, who always wanted somebody in the family to play guitar, came to visit with my grandmother, and I was taking lessons. And so they set up this little concert, and I was going to play, some stuff for my grandfather and my parents. And then I went up there and just went, just like sounded like absolute garbage. And my dad freaked out. I was like, darn it, I spent all this money on lessons, and this is what you play? And then shortly after that, I quit. I just couldn't take it. And, but then, I don't know, maybe 2 years later, I heard Eddie Van Halen, and thought, man, I want to be a rock star. So, I was a chubby kid thinking, okay, if I play guitar, girls will like me, I think. And I started playing electric guitar and played rock and metal and punk, and, but it still didn't work, with the ladies until later on. But actually, until I met my wife, and she, I
liked you for other reasons.
Yeah, I had her a Hemostera, and I'll tell you about that later. But anyway,
I had her.
So all guitarists would know what that means.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very easy. When I first started this whole journey, I wanted to be able to make a living as a guitarist. And I thought every little experience that I had, and my career has been very, very broad. It's not like most people that go to university and then you start teaching privately and, you get a university job. It's not like that anymore. But, I freelanced in New York. I taught a ton of different types of students, different situations, different socioeconomic backgrounds. Those experiences, lived in Chicago for a year, same thing. Just the variety of private students that I've had from, teaching at a music store all the way to, teaching at a private music school in Chappaqua, New York, which is in Westchester, which is, kids there. It's all of these experiences. And in my current job right now, I teach, it isn't a public school, it's a magnet school. My students, it's 98% African American. So I've had this broad sort of range of teaching and different types of students. And that's just really kind of helped me, I don't know what the word is, but just really, I guess maybe appreciate just what's out there, and who's out there, and being able to mold my lessons in a way to where I think gives them an appreciation for the instrument.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing about teaching an instrument, especially if you're teaching like specific techniques and specific
Sure.
repertoire a lot. Um, Sort of like finding how it fits in each context. I mean, I taught at first in Calgary, then in Vancouver, and even between Calgary and
Right.
Vancouver, there was some very different sort of demographics, and then
Yeah,
coming
sure.
here to the Netherlands, it's also different. And so I kind of understand a little bit of what you're talking about with like
Yeah.
sort of experiencing very different settings. And then obviously the difference between teaching group classes in like a school
Right.
to teaching it and private, one-on-one private students, or
Yep.
students who are interested in music after school, and students who are just doing it because they need to pick an instrument. And yeah, it's all different.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was, living in New York, I did see both sides of it. I would go and, I was teaching a student in the Upper East Side who lived in one of those apartments in the movies that were, $10 million apartment. You go in there and you're like, wow, this is amazing. I would never, it's like, like those apartments you see like on Friends where everybody has those apartments, but nobody really does in real life.
Yeah.
Um, but, so I'd go into these places, like, wow, this is amazing. And then like the next day I've got to go to, Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn and hope I don't get mugged,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to teach an adult class. And it was, it was really, really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And then also, I lived in New York during September 11th. So like, I remember one of the
Right.
teaching
Yeah.
jobs that I had was like 2 blocks away from where everything happened.
Yeah.
But,
That's crazy. Yeah.
yeah, so it was pretty intense.
Yeah, you had some different experiences for sure, which also
Yeah,
makes you a
absolutely.
better teacher, I think, because I mean, my philosophy has always kind of been, and continues to grow even more in this direction, that every student is different, every student needs different things.
Absolutely.
And of course,
Sure,
of
sure.
course, you apply like certain like technical principles, you use certain exercises with almost everyone,
Right.
etc. But it's not so much about the material, because you can use the same material, but it's how you communicate with someone, right? And so I think that those kind of teaching all those different settings and with different people from different backgrounds is really important, because you sort of learn different tools of communication. You learn how people are going to take it, and you learn seeing what they need. I mean, especially with like adult students, I feel like there's this there's such a difference between adult students in terms of how they relate to themselves and their practice and their playing
Right.
and their sort of self-talk. Kids have this too, but adults, it's
Yeah.
kind of, there's more, it's maybe more pathological in adults. The self-talk is like a little more like cynical or potentially like harmful in some ways. So I don't know, it's just every student is so different. It's like the way you respond to the same problem is completely different from person to person. So
You have to. You have
yeah.
to take a student and know what their strengths are, and basically tailor your lesson, your plan to them, and not to what your what your curriculum in your head is. You
Yeah.
have to adjust for sure.
Yeah.
So,
But I can imagine all those experiences you've had have been important and formative and valuable as a teacher, and probably,
yes.
make improve your abilities as one. All right. Well, we're going to go from this very sort of serious topic to something a lot more fun, where I get to potentially embarrass you through this guitar repertoire listening test.
Oh boy.
So, sorry?
I actually taught guitar literature in grad school.
Okay. So
So I'm sure you're going to play something. I think I might have had like a nightmare. This probably woke me up in the middle of the night. I was like, okay, he's going to play something that I'm going to know, and I'm going to
like
totally
totally.
fall in. Oh, it's Metallica.
It's so Metallica. Yeah. Okay. Well. Now that you've announced that you should be good at this, let's see how you do.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
So as everyone probably knows, I have 9 selections, and Kevin gets to guess the piece, the piece, composer, and or the player. So there's a possible 3 points for each one.
Piece, composer, or player?
Yes, and
Oh, okay.
I will give you but you want to try and get all 3. That's the thing.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, and
So,
I will give you hints. Like, and you can guess a few. Like if you guess a few players, you can. I'm not gonna say wrong guess, first guess. So
yeah, I should have studied for this, but I've spent most of the time in my car listening to metal. So
yeah, I could have prepared a metal test, actually. That might have been even better, more fun. Okay, first one, and we're gonna start in the middle of the track for this one because I think it might be too easy for you.
Second sonata.
Second sonata. Yeah.
And that is it Odair or is that Ricardo Gallen?
It's Odair. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the Ricardo Gallen recording, but it sounded like it was Odair because those.
Yeah, the Ricardo Gallen recording is a little more Fantasia-like.
Okay.
You could say. A little more free rhythmically. Although actually this one has Odair takes some liberties too, but it's really nice.
I love this one.
Yes. Sonata number 2, Del Caminante, Odair Sads, Leo Brouwer. Very good. 3 out of 3. See, that was easy. You're doing great so far. Okay. Yeah. Next one. I can play a later section if you want.
Yeah, I know. I've heard this before. I know what this is. I just can't.
Okay, I'm going to play a later section.
Okay.
Or actually, maybe this part will be better. Maybe a hint.
Yes.
This is a player who you are quite close friends with. And there's definitely a Canadian connection.
Is it Kearney?
Huh?
Is it Patrick Kearney?
Not Patrick Kearney. Both the composer and the player are Canadian.
Composer and okay.
But the composer doesn't live in Canada.
Composer doesn't live.
But she is Canadian.
Okay. Dale.
Dale.
Kavanaugh.
Correct. Dale Kavanaugh.
Is that Emma playing it?
It is Emma playing.
What piece is that?
Okay, you don't know the name of the piece. It's called Briny Ocean.
Oh, that's okay. You know what? All right. Okay.
You knew that.
I feel bad. I've heard that recording.
Yeah.
Emma, don't know. Yes. Okay.
It's okay. I'll play.
I knew like the first chord I heard. I was like, man, I know that.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
No, okay.
Maybe I'll play one of your recordings on Emma's show in a few weeks and see if she also, you know.
I know exactly what she'll say.
Yeah.
I was like.
Okay, but you still got 2 out of 3 because you got Emma and Dale. Okay, number 3 in the B.
With some help.
Well, we're all about helping each other out here. Number 3.
I like the Sod Brothers.
Sorry, I was just enjoying.
Sounds like the Assad Brothers.
The Assad Brothers, correct? Yes.
It sounds like the Piazzolla, right?
Yep. Piazzolla.
Is it the Tango Suite?
Tango Suite, correct.
Or is it the other? Is it the?
It's the Tango Suite. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the third movement Allegro. You just need to name in it like a multi-movement piece. You can just name the.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice. 3 out of 3. See, that was easy. Okay. Next one. We're getting more into the intermediate realm now.
We're gonna keep it up a notch. Eric, the Bard Clang.
Oh my God, that was easy for you.
Yeah.
Barden
I
Klange.
can't remember the name of the piece, but yes, I know that piece.
Has something to do with elves.
Yep. I know one of my friends in undergrad used to play it.
Oh, okay. It's Elfenreichen, Dance of the Elves.
That's it. Yep.
Yes.
That's it.
Played by. Do you want to hear some more? You're trying to guess the player.
Could it be? I'm just trying to think of Bard Clang recordings. Adam Holzman recorded it.
It's Adam Holzman. You were correct. I was trying to find something.
Adam.
I was trying to find something recorded by Bruce because you studied with him.
Yes, there's nothing.
But there's nothing. There's like literally nothing. There's like one recording of him playing duo with Adam, and that's it. I was like, okay.
There was some. Who had it? One of my when I was in school, there was he was like a theory or a composition student. He was older, I guess, and he heard Bruce play in the 70s at some point. And he played the Tedesco. Heard him play the Tedesco concerto, and he said it was like just long. And fortunately, no record. But
Yeah.
So there was a point where the guy played.
Yeah. No, I know he can play. I mean, I studied with him in Domaine Forget, and he was amazing. Like when he would play, excerpts of things.
Yeah, sure.
It's just incredible. And I'm sure when he plays live still, he's incredible. But yeah, no recordings.
Well, there was a pretty funny thing, Bruce, I love that guy. I think I was working on my master's, and I remember seeing him one day with a suit and his guitar, and I'm like, hey, where are you going? He goes, I'm playing this faculty concert. I'm like, why didn't you tell anybody? He's like, it's just one little piece. Like, we would have gone,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's like modest to a fault, I guess. Yeah. But he's an incredible musician and an amazing teacher. I had 3 lessons with him at Domaine Forget. Have you been to Domaine Forget? You know about this?
No, I know about it.
Yeah, it's super cool, and I had 3 lessons with him over a week, and it changed my life for sure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because he was the first person. Like, I was still pretty like rough around the edges because I started really late, and he was kind of the first person who like introduced me to the idea of like, why don't you just have some etudes in your repertoire that you play to work on your technique that you're not even performing, but are just like easy for you to read and you can like play.
Right.
And I was like, you can do that? And what? Yeah, and then he was like, just learn Villa-Lobos Etude 1 by the next lesson. And I was like, okay. And then, anyways, really improved my technique a lot just by like revealing to me that was the thing you could do.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. But even more than that, just his approach to like teaching and stuff. It was obviously the knowledge on beyond that. Okay. Very good. Okay. Next one. Any idea?
Wow, that sounds very Giuliani-like.
It's not Giuliani, but you're in the right like realm.
It doesn't seem like... I don't remember Soar doing... That could it be like...
It's not like Yanni. Wait, I'll play some later section. Oh yeah, the whole thing is like this.
Yeah.
There's not much else to find out about. Final guesses for the composer?
So it's not Giuliani.
Not Giuliani.
Somewhere around that time. Not Carulli.
Not Carulli.
I don't remember ever hearing Carulli like that. I'm trying to think. Nalignani, Bergondi. I don't remember.
No.
Octave Fest with Bergondi. I'm sure there are somewhere.
Earlier than that. It's a very famous composer.
Very famous composer.
Extremely.
I mean, this is the one you're going to say. Blank.
It was Soar. You said doesn't sound like Soar.
It was Soar?
What's
Soar?
It's study number. Okay, but Soar study numbers are like such a confusing mess. Like, I was looking. I this year I've been like coding all my repertoire for my students in levels because I'm doing like DIY exams with my students, and just trying to like sort out the freaking names on Soar studies in like all the PDFs I have. I like had a brain aneurysm almost. Just it's so brutal. Okay, this is study in C major, Opus 6, number 10. God Save the King is the like.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah. But do you know who the player is? Do you want a hint?
I'm going to guess it's probably from the Nexus collection.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Not this CD, at least. I mean, he's probably recorded for Nexus, I guess. This is on
oh my gosh.
Tonar Media. It's a Cuban guitarist.
Oh, is it Tamayo?
Nope.
Okay, and who's another Cuban guitarist that I know? It's not Renee.
No, but this guitarist is in the U.S., teaching in the U.S.
Oh, is it, what's his name, Rafael Padron? You got it down in Miami? No? Okay, another Cuban. Who's another Cuban guitarist here in U.S.? I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Manuel?
Manuel Barrueco, yes.
Yeah, Manuel did a Soar CD, right?
Yes.
Not too long ago?
Yeah. Okay, you guessed like 5 guitarists, but I guess I'll give that to you.
I'll go.
Yeah, One out of three because you didn't know the composer. It was sore. Okay.
No, I'm not really up on all 97,000 source studies.
Okay. Yeah. 97,000 source studies with 4 different numbers each.
Yeah. Or maybe not that.
Well, part of the problem is that didn't Segovia renumber them?
He took the 20 that he liked, right?
And then he gave them different numbers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I think in the first edition of them, it just had 1, 2, 3, 4. But I think the later editions they started saying sword 1, but it would say opus 6, whatever.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, this is like any young guitarist today will tell you, everything bad is the fault of Segovia.
Funny story about that. I'm not gonna say who the guitarist was, but this happened at FSU. The day that Segovia died, one of the doctoral students went into Bruce's, from what I heard, went into Bruce's office with the source studies and just ripped it in half and said, "I never have to play these stupid fingerings again."
Oh my god, that's brutal but funny.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna have to play these fingerings again. Oh man. Anyhow, okay. Wow. Next one. Here we go.
Oh, I know this because I played this.
Oh, really? I thought I picked this because I was like, it sounds like a piece Kevin would play.
Yeah, the Tropico from the Cuatro Piezas para Guitarra by Forrest.
Correct. It's the mazurka.
Yeah. No, that's the Tropico.
Oh, it says mazurka on the title here. Huh.
No, that's the Tropico.
The title must be wrong. Any idea who the player is?
My recordings. I know Adam Holzman recorded it.
It's an Italian guitarist this time.
I know that Oscar Giglio.
Oscar Giglio, correct.
Yes.
Yes.
I love you.
Emma says hi. Hi, Emma.
Hey, how you doing, Emma?
I think
we have not. I need to Zoom with Emma. We were doing our weekly Zooms over the summer, and
nice.
now life started and teaching and stuff.
Yeah.
We need to catch up.
Sounds
hey,
like
Emma. Miss you.
Nice. Okay, 3 out of 3 on that one. Very nice. Okay, we're in the advanced category now. You ready?
What is that?
Yeah, it's a weird one. I know.
That's a weird. What? No, I don't know that one.
I can try playing a later section. Maybe that'll help.
Let me see.
I guess I have to give you a hint, hey?
Yeah, I'm gonna need some help with that one. I don't remember that one from days of teaching guitar literature.
It's a guitarist known for recording a lot of new music, obviously. Yeah. And this guitarist teaches in both Europe and the U.S. simultaneously, or at least did, and maybe until recently. I'm not sure what he's doing. Elliot Fisk, yes. And it's American music, American
George
composer.
Rockberg.
George Rockberg, correct?
American Bouquet or
American Bouquet, you got it. Very good. I'm gonna give you 2.5 because I gave you like a big hint with Fisk.
Yeah, that was a friend of mine. I used to play in this quartet called the Talents Quartet, and one of my friends, one of the guys in the quartet, used to play. Every time I would see him play, I'm like, wow, why? Really hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, he played, and Matt played the mess out of it. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty cool recording, actually. This album is called The Red Guitar, and it has a whole bunch of
yep.
super cool stuff on it. Okay, next one. Any clue?
No, I was thinking that can't be the Rosthorn.
It's not the Rosthorn. It has a similar harmonic language.
That's
actually.
why it just kind of it kind of just was that a section that I forgot about? But,
Yeah, here, let me see, maybe a bit later.
What's the nationality of the composer?
The composer is also, American. Wait, let me double check this. But I'm pretty sure I'm correct. And it's another American guitarist who plays a lot of new music.
Not
Yep, American composer. And she won the 1999 Pulitzer Prize in music. So it's not Elliot Fisk, but it's...
No.
This-
You said the composer, a woman.
Yes, and she won the 1999 Pulitzer Prize in music. But
Thea Musgrave.
no.
Joan Tower? Tower? Doesn't sound like Clark.
No, she shares a last name with another famous composer from history. Kind of controversial one.
Wait, say that again. You guys what?
She shares a name with a famous composer from history, a last name.
Oh.
A kind of controversial one, to be honest. The composer is Melinda Wagner.
Oh, okay. Well, David Starman recording some of this.
Yes, David Starban. Playing...
I don't remember. What's the name of this piece?
It's called... Oh, Emma Rush also guessed Joan Tower. Nope. Melinda Wagner. The piece is called Arabesque.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've seen the score and maybe I've read it. Thought, wow.
Yeah, it's a cool piece.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so 0 out of 3 on that one. Sorry, Kevin. Last one. Do you need to hear more? Hear the actual melody?
Yeah, a little bit more.
Okay, let's play a bit more. Any idea?
I don't know. There's like a Dian's quality to it. I don't.
It is Roland Dians.
Okay.
Is the player and the arranger.
Okay.
It's a Dians recording.
It's not one of the French songs.
No. It's a Portuguese song.
Okay. Oh, is it from what's that album he did before the jazz album? He did it on GSP.
This album is called... Wait 1 second. This album is called Nequele Tempo.
Is that wait? When that's not. It's not. No, it's.
Oh, sorry. I was wrong. Portuguese. Brazilian composer. Jeez.
It was all the CD was all of that composer's music.
Yes. Correct.
Yes, and I can't remember the name of the composer, but I know I could see the album, I could see the cover, like he's smiling on it.
Yeah. He's looking up and smiling on like the beach or something.
Yes,
yeah,
and there's a piece on there called Rosa.
Rosa, correct.
Yeah, because Odair recorded it on his.
Yeah. The composer is Pixinguinha.
That guy. Yeah, I wasn't going to butcher that name.
I looked up earlier how to pronounce it, and I'm trying my best, but I'm also going off of what Google Translate said, so I'm probably wrong. Anyways.
Yeah, it sounds like you can say that, and it could actually turn out to be something.
Yeah, Portuguese is a hard language to pronounce.
It is.
Yeah, there's a whole crew of Portuguese students with Carlo, and half of them I still can't pronounce their names correctly, even though I keep asking them to try to correct me. But it's hard.
Yeah, there's a couple of words that are kind of similar in Spanish, and both of my sons play travel soccer. A lot of the coaches are Brazilian.
Okay.
So when they start going, I mean, it's a beautiful language.
Yeah, it's gorgeous language.
Love to listen to them speak.
Yeah.
There's some nuances in it. Very, very tricky. Like I used to always say, I'm going to play a piece by Dilamundo Reyes, but it's not Reyes, it's Hayes.
Hayes, yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's again, it's not like, I'm not saying that because it's like just like any sort of foreign language trying to pronounce it. It's just that, like, especially when you are used to trying to pronounce Spanish words, and then you look at a Portuguese word, it's just disorienting, because it's looks similar but then sounds totally different.
Yep.
Anyhow, so yeah, that's a recording of Dian's playing a piece by Pixinguinha, which is
I miss that guy.
called Carinhoso. Yeah. Piece. Okay, so you got 1 out of 3 on that because you at least got the. All right, so in the beginner category, Kevin, you got 8 out of 9. Intermediate was 7 out of 9, and advanced was 3.5 out of 9. Not too bad.
3.5 out of 9.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's...
yeah. Well, I think you did pretty good. You got 8 and 7 out of 9 in the first 2, so
Yeah.
Tammy Garland Patton says, "Hey, Dr. Manderville," with a heart.
Hey.
And Will Douglas. Sorry.
Will. Oh yeah. I teach her son.
Oh, cool. Nice. And Will says, "Kevin," with 5 exclamation points, 4 exclamation points. Yeah.
That's a whole lot of Kevin.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of Kevin. We're gonna get a whole lot of Kevin tonight on the show, so it's good. Awesome, cool. Well, you did good on this listening test, man. I think you can keep your Professor Manderville badge for now.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But some people still ask me about rep when I go to. Hey, what should I play?
What should I play? But you tell them you should play things by composers that are known but are unknown pieces, right? I remember that piece of advice you gave me and Tim in Hamilton.
Yes. There's too much. Look, the one thing that I cannot stand is when I hear guitars, it almost gives me I don't want to say it makes me violent, but it almost does. Because I always hear people go, there's just not enough music.
Oh, that's total bullshit.
Yeah, it is. You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much.
And there's so many good composers who've written so many pieces that don't get played. Like, even if you want to stick with composers who are not overplayed, sorry, yes. I shouldn't say that because they're good composers. But if you want to stick with playing Bogdanovich, Brouwer, and Sergio Assad, you can do that. But just play any of the pieces they wrote that nobody else plays, because there are hundreds of them that are good.
Dian's right before he died, he had that collection of 100 pieces.
Yeah.
How many set possibilities are in that? They're all beautiful short little pieces.
Or find someone like Annette Krausbrink, who's an amazing composer who people aren't playing, and then play some of her pieces or whatever. So
Francis Clemens, tons of music, no one plays it.
And the other thing,
play 2 pieces by him.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's not just music now; it's also music from the past. I've been playing some of the Emilia Giuliani preludes, and people are like, "Oh, I didn't even know this existed." And so there's music from every era that nobody knows about, right? It's not just,
I've been really into Matiega's music, and he's written 12 sonatas for the guitar.
Yeah.
Opus 31. There's 6 in there. 2 grand sonatas.
When was he alive?
He was a contemporary of, I want to say a contemporary of Giuliani.
Okay.
But yeah, he's written a ton of stuff. Not just counting the sonatas, the other shorter pieces.
Yeah.
Theme of variations. I mean, how many times? The only 2 pieces I ever really see by Matiega programmed are the Opus 23 sonata and Opus 31 number 6. The last sonata of those 6 sonatas. Some other ones great. I'm working on number 2, and I've worked on number 4 from number 31. And the Grand Sonatas are not David Starr. David Leisner recorded the first Grand Sonata. I used to play it. I've seen it times too. Great pieces.
Yeah.
You know, and there's sonatas from that era.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which is even cooler. You know.
For sure. Yeah. It's amazing. Will Douglas says there can never be too much. I think he's referring to too much, Kevin. That's great. Well, we're going to listen to another one of your recordings now. But first,
Okay.
I have a little bit of a surprise for you, Kevin. One of your former students contacted me when he saw that we were going to do this show, and he wanted me to read a short review quote from him about how much he misses his lessons with you. And I thought it was a really nice summary of, some of the great things about you as a teacher. So I'm going to embarrass you a little bit and read this here for you.
Okay.
He says, Kevin Manderville is a man who doesn't just play a beautiful instrument, but tells stories with his music. He shows emotion, compassion, and inspiration to others who want to learn the guitar. If it wasn't for him teaching me more on such a beautiful instrument, I wouldn't know what to do with my future. One song and working on another and not putting down the guitar even for a second. He is such an amazing teacher. Thank you, sir, for teaching and keeping me motivated and on my toes with the guitar. Keep up the amazing work. And one day we need to do a jam session. Your former student, Nicholas Young.
Oh, that guy, Nick. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah, he's a great kid. It's funny. I hope I don't embarrass him.
well, he embarrassed you, so it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So, Nicholas, when I got there to where I'm teaching, he went to the school that I taught. The former teacher told me about him, and it was like, hey, you need to hear this kid. And I heard Nicholas play, and I was like, okay, cool. But it didn't blow me away, because I knew that I was going to be teaching the next year, and I did not want to feel like, okay, he is very talented, I'm going to give him a lot of attention.
Right.
So I made him feel just like everybody else.
Right.
And I think in that, and I can tell that at times he wanted more, but I wasn't going to, because that's not what I do,
Mm-hmm.
And I treated him just like I treated everybody else. But I did push him to get better and get better. And at first, we butt heads, but I think after some time, you realize that was probably, the best thing for him.
Yeah.
And he has sent me so many messages since, about that and what that meant to him, and how that pushed him, and how that, just made him
Good. Yeah. Cool.
continue to love the instrument. So,
Yeah.
and it's funny, because I've had that before. I had this kid when I lived in New York who was pretty good electric player, and he all of a sudden decided that he had perfect pitch, which he did not have perfect pitch.
Yeah.
He had a decent relative pitch,
Mhm.
And a kind of funny story. So I came into the lesson and I said, hey, come on in, tune up. Here's my 6 string. And then he's like, oh, you're flat. I'm like, no, I'm tuned. You're flat. So tune up to me. He goes, no. I was like, no, let's tune, and he kind of just kept on. He was 15. And it got to the point in the lesson where I back before the little clip-on tuners, I banged the tuning fork on my knee and I put it up to his ear. This isn't A. This is what, And he's like, and he has the audacity to say, your tuning fork is wrong. And I was like, you know what? We're done. Pack up. Bye. I was back the next week, and it just really just irritated.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the nerve. And I came back the next week. I was like, look, man, I'm worried about you. Can't take criticism. You're gonna have some hard times.
Yeah.
We did maybe 1 or 2 more lessons, and then he changed teachers.
Yeah.
5 years later, he sends me this email. He's in college. Sends me this really long email on how that lesson changed his life. It's like, man, it didn't really hit me then, but I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. I was like, okay, well,
That's
cool,
good. Yeah. 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 Sometimes being a teacher is not actually about the guitar playing.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. I also think, I don't know, you sometimes meet those kids, right, where their parents or someone else sort of says, like, you need to teach this person, and then you meet them and it's like they think they're talented, which they probably are talented, but
yeah, sure.
I think sometimes the worst thing you can kind of do for a student who's like that is treat them like they're special and they have nothing to learn, because that's not going to help anyone in the long run, like having that mentality, that you're The problem is, especially for someone who wants to take music seriously, I feel like it's really important that kids who are really talented at a young age don't receive the message that they're necessarily always special and always going to amaze everybody, because the reality is once you get into the career, you can't have that expectation or you're going to be constantly disappointed and just be destroyed, like,
Yeah.
not because people are going to be mean to you, but just because honestly, not that many people are going to care what you're doing, and you need to be okay with that in the long run,
I try to tell my students that, the ones that do this, and it hasn't been many, but some, because they're still young. Of course, they might say, oh, I do want to do that. But, the ones that are a little bit older, if they're serious about it, you have to break it down.
Sorry, your mic.
It's about luck. It's about being in the right place at the right time. I had one of my students at the little college that I teach at. He was ridiculously talented electric guitar player. Classical player, he did have to take classical because that was what the university recommended. But he was great. Had a perfect pitch, could play jazz, could play anything on the electric guitar. His senior recital was half classical, half jazz. But maybe about beginning of his senior year, he came in. He's like, man, I don't. He was double majoring, chemistry and music, and he was doing that because he wanted to be pushed to go into another career. He was going to be a dentist so he could make money. And then he came in one day, saying, I just can't do it. I was like, well, then don't. Focus on music. You're talented, and you know what? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But right now, go. You're young, do it. Go all out. And he was playing like professional, like corporate bands, and making some decent money. And then he quit. He changed his major, so he dropped the chemistry major and just focused on music. So I'm sure that I was like enemy number one at his parents' house. And just I kept encouraging. He started playing a little bit more regionally, and then one day, he did a senior recital. It was great. He comes in. He was playing with some band out of Atlanta. He comes into the lesson. He goes, "Hey, do I need to come to my last lesson?" I'm like, "No, man. You did your recital. You're done. No jury. You're good." I was like, "Why? What's up?" He goes, "Oh, I'm playing on the Today Show tomorrow."
Whoa.
Because you have got to play in the Today Show. So and so friend of mine. They had this up and coming R&B singer, and they needed a guitarist. And go. That's your last lesson. Go.
Yeah.
And so he went and he played on the Today Show. Clive Davis was there. I watched my student right there on the Today Show playing. It was crazy.
Awesome.
Then after that he got a couple tours from like some other local acts in Atlanta, and then in the spring following his graduation, like 8 months after graduation, he sends me a message. He's like, dude, got hired to play on Justin Bieber's world tour, and he ended up playing on Bieber's tour for like God knows how long.
Wow.
For the entire world. Like this high grossing tour. I mean, yes, you have to play Justin Bieber's music, but what?
Yeah.
I mean, you get to tour the world.
Yeah.
Playing guitar, and he's still busy. He's still playing. It's killer.
Yeah.
So it can happen.
Yeah, for sure. But you have to have the right mentality to be able to withstand that. And
absolutely. You have to know that it just. I can't remember the pianist that said like an overnight sensation. So a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, let's listen to your David Kellner Fantasia, if that's okay. So you're playing this in the Collegiate Guitar Peaks Retreat, which maybe we'll talk a little bit about after. Is that cool?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
But what do you like about this Fantasia? Why did you want to play David Kellner's music?
The first time I've heard it was Uber Couples recording. The first time I heard it, I just fell in love with the music.
Yeah.
Such a guitar piece. Oh, it's not a guitar piece, but it really makes the guitar sound amazing.
Nice.
And I played it on my last doctoral recital in 2000, and I played it. That was one of my competition pieces that I put in, and it's been on and off in my repertoire since then. And it's funny, I almost like now after playing it for 20 years, kind of a love-hate thing. I hate playing Kellner, and then I'll like play through it. Amazing. So I love it.
Cool.
All six fantasies total. I think I recorded I played 5 of the 6 in concert. So I still maybe one day play the other one. But a couple arranged 4 of them, and then there was an F major one, a C major that we didn't arrange that are also
Cool. Nice. Okay, let's listen. Super cool. Nice job, Kevin.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Very nice. So, Will and Emma have both appeared in the chat already. So, do you want to talk a little bit about this retreat you 3 put on?
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away because I know that you're going to have Will on, and Will speak more about it. But it is probably, I shouldn't say probably, because I don't. Well, no, it is probably my favorite. I think Collegiate Peaks Guitar Retreat and Guitar Hamilton are like
Neck
both
and neck, yeah.
blow me away every year, and I was so like devastated that we used to do it this past summer. It's an amazing thing. First of all, it's in a ridiculously beautiful location in the mountains in Colorado, and it is super laid back. All the participants, we all, even the participants and the what we call the guitar guys, pretty much perform together. We share the stage, I'll play a couple of pieces and then Emma will play, and Will will play. Usually we have some very good players that come. Austin Wall, Austin. He's been every year. Russ comes from Denver. And we've had Aaron Ringo, who's been there, and some other guys show up, and Marcus, another one of our friends from Texas, and It's a fun hangout. We cool. do outdoor activities during the day, hiking. We did horseback trail riding last time, which was crazy.
Nice.
Emma and I were probably having mild panic attacks before we got on a horse, and I think only the guitarists were the ones with the helmets because we just didn't want to die.
Yeah.
And it was pretty hairy a few times when we were going down some of the hills. Fishing, which was fun. Actually, I've been fishing many times in my life. I've never caught a fish until last summer or the summer before that, and Collegiate Peaks Guitar Retreat. We went trout fishing. I was able to catch my fish. I ended up catching like 4 that day. Hiking, we did whitewater rafting one time, which was awesome. So yeah, Emma and I, it's funny because when we did it the first year, we went rafting the first time, and then after that, we're like, all right, so we did that. It's off the bucket list now. When they go, we'll let them have the experience, and we'll stay alive and practice. And just it's a fun time, hanging out, playing guitar, eating some great food there, and having some wonderful beverage and. Hanging out with Will's awesome mom and stepdad, and so it's a great week long.
Nice. I think like the point about performing regularly at something like this is a really good one. I did Renee Izquierdo's workshop in Carrion de las Condes last year.
Mm-hmm.
And Jessica and I went, and we had a whole program of Spanish music we were working on, like duo stuff, voice and guitar. And, the fact that they organize it so that you perform every night for the sort of pilgrims on the Camino de Santiago, that sort of thing in a festival is really powerful for the players, for the students, or I guess the participants, whatever you want to say it is.
Yeah, I prefer participants.
Yeah.
Because Austin is technically a student. Austin's a player.
Yeah. I think at these kind of events, sometimes the lines get blurred a little bit, especially when it's something like Carrion or like this, where you have sort of young professionals coming to. But just, I think a lot of guitar festivals kind of miss out on that idea of having people perform for whatever community you happen to be in. Because performance experience is actually really powerful and really useful, and it's good for people of all levels in that situation. It's great for the young professionals who want to like sort of air their repertoire and get a chance to play something they're working on in the festival. It's great for students who maybe haven't performed much at all, and this is like a really good experience to push them,
Right.
I don't know. I just don't know why more events don't incorporate that, So it's
and and the venues that we perform at, really, we play at a distillery. One night a week. One of the performances at the distillery. We've done house concerts. There's a outdoor concert series, so we've done some outdoor performances. There's a really cool hotel that's right on one of the rivers that we go and play. And, usually have a really decent crowd for that. And it's just every performance has been just stellar. It's a fun time. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Well, it sounds like a great event. We'll talk more about it with Will, I'm sure, because he's organizing it so much. But we'll chat about it. It's actually funny. This month I have all three of you on because Emma's coming on Sunday for her album release, and then Will's coming on at the end of the month. So I'm like, it looks like I'm just picking, this group of friends to come on my show, but it just worked out that way.
It's quite the crew.
Yeah, it's a good crew. Good trio. Awesome. Nice. Well, actually, why don't we go to another one of your recordings now?
Okay.
And I have to ask before you start, why do you look so angry all the time when you perform?
Guess I just have this thing.
Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking about Slayer when I'm playing Mertz. I don't.
Yeah, Mertz equals Slayer. Mertz was not a super happy person in his life, it seems like, or at least his life circumstances weren't always great.
Maybe I was trying to channel in my inner Mertz.
Yeah. Exactly.
No. Oh, so you're talking about that comment that somebody wrote, right?
Yeah, on your video. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like my response?
Yeah, you were actually more gentle than I thought you needed to be. The comment was kind of rude. It's like you should smile more. It's like the comment that
Yeah,
mostly women guitarists get this actually.
I know. I
You
was
know?
just kind of shocked, and I was about to say that is my happy
Yeah.
face.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of enjoy. I mean, I think Emma says, "Tell them how you broke a nail chasing a goat."
What'd she say?
Tell them how you broke a nail chasing a goat. Did this actually happen?
Okay, guess I have to tell the story before you play Merits.
Yeah.
So the first year we were we did this thing in Colorado. We went to a goat farm, right, close by to where we were staying, the cabin we were staying at. So we went by and they gave us a tour and showed us how, goat milk and all that kind of stuff. And
Right.
it was really cool. And then we went down to the cellar where they had all the goat cheese, where they were aging it. And then we were outside with the goats, and then all of a sudden, I think somebody accidentally left the gate open or something. And we tried to wrangle a few goats. And I went to grab a goat with my right hand like an idiot, and the goat just took off and took half of my end nail with it.
Oh no.
So, and it was like right before the first night that we had to play.
Nice.
Go to the goat, nail rips off. I'm like, I'm not shooting you guys, Bert.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, that's not good. So I had like this nub of a nail. Everything else was fine.
See, this is why I use fake nails, Kevin, so I can chase goats,
Well, I know now that I have to start. If the next time I go goat wrangling, I have to.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. No, I'm referring to this comment you got about how you need to smile more. I think, these, I was going to say I actually kind of enjoy when I get these YouTube comments. I think because I don't get them all the time. I think if I got them all the time, it would be more annoying. But I had someone recently who was like, you should lose the plugs. Not trying to be rude, but we live in a superficial society is what he said. And I'm like,
yeah.
But you're being superficial and rude.
That's right.
Yeah.
I always had this thing about I never trusted people that smiled and played.
Right.
Because if you ever see like Kenny G and he's playing a saxophone,
Yeah.
somehow he's still smiling, while
Yeah.
he's playing. I'm like, that just bothers me.
Yeah.
And, there's every once in a while if you're playing and there's kind of like a whimsical little cute moment, you can but I'm not going to sit there and play the whole time. And,
there's this amazing video on Facebook of this pianist. I can't remember her name, but she's like does all these clips of her playing really typical classical piano repertoire and smiling really weirdly and creepily because she keeps being told by people in her videos to smile more, usually men, I guess. So, but it's just really funny because she's making all these horrendous smiling faces while playing. It's really good. Yeah, I don't know, the whole smiling while playing thing. If you do it naturally, I think that it can be fine, right?
Yeah, with that recording session, I was just trying to get through it. We set out like 4 or 5 pieces that we recorded, and I think I was just hyper focused and don't mess up. And
Yeah.
I guess that was
Yeah, you didn't look
my happy face there.
Yeah, you didn't look angry to me. You just looked focused and maybe into it, which is not a bad thing. So
no.
Okay. Well, I
want that guy to post his video.
Yeah, while smiling.
That's all I always want. It's like all these people that make all these comments about oh, you should have done this or that sucked or that, or people that hit the dislike button. Post your video.
Yeah.
Let's see what you have to say.
Yeah, for sure. Tim Collins says, "Well, hello, Turkey."
Hey, Tim.
Okay, well, we're going to listen to the Merits and Malvina now, so people can judge for themselves whether you don't smile enough or whether you look angry or happy or So everyone's going to be judging your appearance and not your playing. That's what we're saying.
Angry face.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Very nice.
Gracias.
Yes. Big angry G chord at the end, we were saying.
Yes. Big angry. Yeah. I think when I play it live now, I don't, well, I still play it.
Yeah. Tim Collins says, this is fantastic. Thank you, Tim.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, Tim's an old friend. Actually, we grew up together. He kind of got him into playing guitar, and he's a phenomenal guitarist.
Cool.
Electric player, can play anything.
Nice.
So, and I actually have, he has my old Alan Chapman guitar that I had built back in 1998, and I have one of his, and we swapped, I had one of his Yulon Woes. So, yeah,
cool.
He plays classical too. Very, very good classical player as well. So.
Nice. And James Chandler says, always great. Kevin is always great.
Oh, Jimmy's my first classical guitar teacher.
Awesome.
Yeah, he is a very cool guy. Always has me come down to where he teaches in Florida. He lives in Navarre, which is a beautiful little beach town, and he teaches at a little college there with private students. And he has me come down every year. Unfortunately, not this year because of everything's going on.
Yeah.
But every year, and he always finds like these really cool venues. If I'm not playing at the college, I played this really cool, chill, laid-back gig at a coffee house. American music and
nice.
Yeah, he's just. We always exchange emails about the current state of repertoire and what to do and how we're going to get there and all kinds of fun stuff. So, great guy.
Yeah, what I was going to actually ask you, one of the things I was going to ask you is, because I tried to think of some questions that I thought would be, things that I'd want to pick your brain about. What do you think young and aspiring players should be thinking about or working on, like right now in this time specifically? Maybe not COVID, but just in general in our current age that they're not doing necessarily, or that or is maybe something that young players aren't sort of like automatically encouraged to think about or look into. What would you advise?
Oh man, that's tough. I don't know. I mean, that's a tough question. That's one of those questions that 3 hours from now I'm going to give you the perfect answer.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I think if you are an aspiring guitarist and this is what you want to do for a living, you just have to know it. You have to be versatile. Yeah. I think that's number one. You're not very good chance you're not going to be the next David Russell.
Yeah.
Or the next, Judah Kyle or whatever. I don't know, but maybe not. You have to be just willing to adapt to that. Yes, if you get a doctorate, what are your chances of getting a university position? Right now, probably not very good because there are not a lot of jobs.
And there's more and more graduates.
And there are more and more graduates, and that's a whole nother topic. It seems like it's an overflow of people now with doctorates in guitar. I mean, it's cool, but at the same time, it's a very crowded job market. Now we have people with doctorates, applying for jobs like mine.
Yeah.
Which is, it's cool, and I love my job. By the way, I love teaching in the schools. I've convinced myself several years ago that, yes, the goal was always to have a full-time university, but I feel like my calling is doing teaching in school, even if I end up switching to a different level, like middle school or high school at some point later on. This just feels right. So you have to be able to adapt and adjust, your dreams. But I think versatility is key. Just knowing different styles, knowing that you're going to have students that, yes, you can have students that you're going to work with and teach them how to play Bach better, but you might have one student who comes in who wants to learn how to play out like Grant Green. So you might have to, dust off those jazz chops, or you might have a kid who wants to, learn how to play Iron Maiden. You're going to have to just be able to adjust and know that you're a private studio. That's what you want to do. Mm-hmm. He's going to have a variety of playing and players and levels and styles. And then maybe eventually it will morph into what you want as far as You know,
I mean, ideally it does, as you kind of, especially if you're teaching privately, as you get enough students that you can kind of be picky, right, with who you take on. But at the same time, like, I kind of don't understand this. I don't totally understand the feeling that like you're wasting your time with any specific type of repertoire. I guess with certain kinds of guitar playing of like pop music where it's like there's not a lot of depth to what the guitarist is
right.
doing technically or musically, it's hard.
Mhm.
But in the case of something like Iron Maiden, or like I've been, there's a lot of people here who really want to play for some reason Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits, you know, and playing like some Mark Knopfler riffs, like there's a lot to talk about there in terms of like articulation, color, you know,
Sure.
everything, and so, and technique. So I don't totally understand. Like I know I still prefer teaching classical repertoire a lot of the time,
Oh, same here.
but
Absolutely.
at the same time, I don't. It's not like I'm bored with a student that really wants to apply themselves and wants to play something that's outside of the classical realm that has musical depth in it. It still uses all my skills that I have from my training, you
Right.
know. So,
Right.
and it's still something where, and the other thing that this might be just personally something that I'm cool with, but maybe other people aren't cool with. But I like the feeling that I'm giving sometimes students who want to play these other genres of music a little more depth than they would get from the average teacher with that genre. You know,
That's right. Yeah.
maybe in terms of like understanding some of the nuances of technique and musical structure that maybe another teacher who is just teaching at your
Mhm.
local strip mall electric guitar may not necessarily, you know. I'm not trying to say all electric guitar teachers are bad. I'm just saying like,
No, I know what you mean. I know
yeah.
what you mean.
So I don't totally understand the like resistance to that, I guess. Although I know we all do have, like you said, this career that we think we might want
Right.
during our education. And I think it's really true that you kind of have to adjust your expectations. But at the same time, I think also a lot of people maybe are, I don't want to say impatient because we have a very hard road ahead of us, but impatient in the sense that people feel like once they graduate, they should be like, have the same path as like Thibaut Garcia or someone who like
Right.
from a young age is already on a meteoric career, you know.
Yeah.
Where, whereas there are examples like people, even like Rene, like when I've talked to Rene Izquierdo about his path, you know, he had times after he graduated where he was teaching in random schools and random other jobs, and you know,
I lived in New York when Renee was there. You
yeah,
know, I mean, we used to. Excuse me. I hung out with him a few times when I lived there, and yeah. I mean, I know.
So
I remember.
it's kind of like, and the thing with someone like Rene and someone who has that sort of career path is that he's obviously someone who really builds into everything he does. So the fact that he got the position he did, and with that position he was able to build the program he did, it's a lot of it came from sort of his mentality and not necessarily, you know. And I'm not trying to use him as an example for everybody. I mean, everyone's path is different. I'm just saying, I think some people have this idea that once you're like in your like mid to late 20s, you should already be like have achieved this like laundry list of things, whereas maybe it's going to take you a long circuitous path of doing other stuff and building slowly towards your goals. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, it's all going to build slowly. You know, I think the important thing is working at what we do. You know, when I first started this, that was my goal, just to be able to make guitar. If that meant teaching 80 students at a music store and playing a couple of silly gigs on the weekend, as long as I can, you know, do all those things that people talk about, put food on the table and, you know, make ends meet, all that kind of stuff. That's all I really cared about. And it's funny, I still bring this up to my mom because when I first started guitar in college, she always wanted me to double major, or just in case, I had something to fall back on. She didn't know, you know, she wasn't sure that I was going to be able to do this for a living. You know, it's a musician, really? No, I don't know about that. Just every parent, would, you know, or most parents would kind of think that way. But I remember when I was in ninth grade, this is kind of like one of the times when I decided I wanted to be a musician, but not really a classical musician. I wasn't playing classical at the time. I thought I wanted to be like, I was a skateboarder and I played, you know, punk rock. So that's what I was going to be. I was going to be a punk rock guitarist, you know.
Yeah.
And I was I brought my report card home. There was a bad grade on it. My mom was yelling at me, "What are you going to do? You get to study because you need to go to college, blah, blah, blah. And what are you going to do with your life?" And I had my guitar in my hand. I said, "I'm going to do this." And that set her off. "No, you're done with guitar lessons. You know, I'm taking guitar with you. Grades get better." And then like she hid my guitar away. But little did she know, like every time she went to the practice, and then she'd come home, I'd put it away. and I brought it up to her like a few years ago. It's like, oh, remember that time we were on the porch and I told you I was going to be a guitar player? And I said, yeah. It's like, well, look at me now. She said, pendejo. So that's what she called me.
That's good. Best I told you so ever.
Oh, yeah. But no, she's extremely supportive. I think once she realized, okay, oh, you're a doctor. Okay, this is what you should do. I'm like, that's my plan.
Yeah. But I mean, you also had to demonstrate that you were going to do the work, right? And like, I think some parents don't necessarily see when like it's unfortunate, I guess, when a kid or a teenager says, I want to do music, they kind of think like, I don't know, they kind of need to see the proof, I guess. I don't know. My parents have always been very supportive, thankfully, which is good. So.
Yeah, and I started playing classical late. So I always felt maybe I felt like I was always playing catch up because I practiced. I did not have a life.
Yeah.
I was all about guitar. I was all about practice. I rarely went out, 6-8 hours a day. I'd be in the practice room and I'd see my friends walking downtown to go to the bars and hang out. I'd sit there practice and then they'd be coming back and I'd still be in the practice room and that was just what I did, and then
it worked out. Yeah,
it worked out. So
yeah, I had the same experience actually because I started playing guitar when I was 19 and classical guitar when I was 20. So it was like, starting from scratch as like already an adult.
Right.
Yes. And my undergrad was 2 years longer than it should have been. I had a year off between the undergrad and the master's, failed a lot of master's auditions for the first round, and had to do a lot of extra practice and sort of, I think it wasn't until I was like maybe 26 or 27 that I started to feel like I was playing at a similar level to the peers in my age group,
Right.
Like even at 23, 24, I was like playing more like a lot of the like 17-year-olds I saw at festivals,
Right.
Which, and that wasn't because I was terrible or I wasn't working hard. It was just like I'd only been playing guitar for 4 years, right? Or 5 years,
right.
Which seems like a long time, but as like a classical guitar festival where you have like semi-professionals competing, it's not, so yeah.
Yeah. What helped me was, like I said, I started playing when I was 8, quit, and I started playing again in middle school. I played rock guitar. It wasn't like I was just playing like power chords. I started playing some fairly complex stuff. Randy Rhoads, even got into some of the, like those like Racer X kind of guys, and was working on that sort of thing. And so my left hand was pretty good. It's pretty developed.
But your right hand was not at all. Yeah.
My right hand was just like, still is. I mean, that's just my skills. But so it kind of came together a little bit faster for me in some ways, and it's weird because it felt more natural to me than playing electric. Usually it's the other way around. It's like, electric is easier. Me, classical just felt, man, I feel like I'm finally home.
Yeah.
And again, I just busted. And then within a year and a half, I think my second year, because I didn't go right to a university. I went to a community college. That's where I met Jimmy Chandler, who on earlier. And I was able to, within a year and a half, go from, playing Carulli preludes and I got a couple of pieces together. I playing like Villalobos 1811 and did a community college competition for where I was going to school in Florida. So all the community colleges came from all over the place. And Bruce was actually one of the judges. So I was absolutely horrified before walking in because, I knew about Florida State and because Jimmy and other people told me. So I go to Florida State and I look at the judges, I was like, okay, cool. Bruce is not a judge. All right, I think I can do this. And I look in, I see Bruce with like 4 or 5, graduate TAs, 2 or 3 of them are like GFA prize winners. I'm like, not good. And I ended up winning,
Nice.
And winning the contest was great. And then, Bruce wanted me to come there for undergrad.
Yeah.
And I decided that I wanted to go study with Steve Robinson for my undergrad because I saw Steve play and I've been to the Stetson workshops when they were around. I just felt this connection with Steve. I loved his musicality and he's such a great person, loved his wife, loved his family. And so that's where I ended up going. And I remember telling Bruce, because Bruce was trying to get me to go as an undergrad. I told him, Bruce, I'm going to come study with Steve, and then I'm going to come for you for grad school. And he goes, oh, okay. Well, what makes you think you're going to be ready? And I'm like, oh, I'll be ready. I'm going to practice. And then he would come down to the Stetson workshops, and I'd always try to get a spot with him in a master class, and you know, and then it just kind of worked out. So.
Yeah, cool, nice. Yeah, I mean, I think like it's just the catch up thing is real, but I mean, it's not. The age is not the important thing. The mentality and what you know, how you evaluate yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
And evaluate yourself realistically. Not necessarily in a comparative way to your peers, although that helps sometimes.
Right.
But in like,
but you know, you're always going to. You know, I mean,
yeah.
I can't tell you how many times. You know, I now that I'm older, I guess I'm kind of settled down a little bit. Train of thought. You know, of course, earlier on, okay, well, I have a doctorate and I've won these competition prizes and I've applied for the same job. Why is that guy getting it? Why am I? You know,
right,
that sort of thing, which is really like, you know. I mean, in retrospect, it's just, it doesn't really, I mean, it matters, I guess, especially maybe, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you know, we're all working, so it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I think like, this is also kind of bad with social media. I was having this conversation with another friend that like social media is this place where we all go to post like our accomplishments because we feel like we should, right?
Yeah.
And the problem with that is you end up in the situation where you're seeing all your colleagues posting the good things that are happening to them, but you only see the good things. And every day you see good things from different colleagues. And then you start to feel like I'm a loser. I'm not having any of these accomplishments. Even if you stacked it up, like if you stack it up realistically against like one of your colleagues, you're probably doing a similar amount of cool stuff and getting a similar amount of breaks in certain ways. And also the other problem is we never post the shitty things that are happening. So like, you know, for every great thing that's happening, there's something really difficult that the person's not talking about. So, but you get in this weird mindset where you know, you see someone post like, oh, they got this position and you're like, you know, which is so terrible because it's like one of your friends. It is, yeah, and you're like, I should be happy for this person, you know, and like,
that's, you know, that was me. That was me a while ago. Not like, you know, last year. But that's I used to be like that. You know, of course, like there's parties. Oh yeah, cool. Happy for you.
Yeah.
But, you know. Yeah. I'm just like, man, that's.
And that's kind of fair to a certain extent, but I feel like social media makes it worse a little bit. You know.
You know, the funny thing about social media, it's also like, you know, I love all these. I don't know if you know, all these like practice videos.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you this excerpt of me playing insanely fast for 30 seconds and post it just to see how many likes I get.
Yeah.
You know? So I always thought, it's like, oh, yeah, I'll do the same thing. So I'll go record something and like right before I press send, I'm like, I don't know. You know? And then I might think, melodic, you know, instead of showing off how fast I can play, you know, my scales. And then I'll record it like, no, why am I doing this? You know, I don't really feel like I need to do this. I mean, I'm sure at some point, if I'm practicing something, I'll have the inspiration. But just to, you know, it's weird.
Yeah, I think there's it's a kind of problematic like issue because there is a certain amount of presence which is useful as a young person.
Yes.
Trying to get gigs and trying to get like known and stuff. Because it is true that promoters are gonna look a little bit at what your online presence is, especially. I don't know. I'm not an expert on getting gigs, so don't, you know, take this with a grain of salt. But especially when it comes to smaller sort of gigs, because a lot of smaller organizations kind of want someone who's going to help them advertise intrinsically, right? Sure. So there's a certain amount of it that you probably should have. But I agree with you. What I feel like I'm seeing, especially in the pandemic, is just a lot of like sort of empty posting, and I'm guilty of doing some of that myself in terms of like just posting whatever I'm working on just to have a post every day or whatever. And I feel like it kind of desensitizes people, and I'm trying personally to have kind of like a personal, I think it's probably different for everybody, but kind of having a personal rule of like, what is the point of posting this in terms of the quality of the content? Like I'm trying to like only post something when I'm like, okay, this piece is something that I have something special to say with, or is meaningful to me in this way, and I can share that, or it's not often heard, like the Emilia Giuliani prelude I recorded. I was like, I really want to post this because nobody knows about, like, not a lot of people know about this music, and it's really amazing.
Right.
So, you know, having some reason outside of just wanting to post, I guess.
And that was me last week. I was just like, for some reason, just desperate. Man, I feel like I haven't posted a video in so long. Let me see what I have. You know, and I was working on a few things and recorded them, and they sounded pretty good. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do it. But why? What's the point right now? You know?
Yeah.
Maybe there is, and maybe I just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
It didn't feel right.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, everyone has to figure that out for themselves, right? But I also just don't want people to like constantly see my posts, like especially people who are interested in guitar, because I'm sometimes starting to get like a little bored of a lot of the overzealous posting of some people who are guitarists. And to me, it's like, I love classical guitar, so if I'm getting kind of sick of some of this, like
Yeah, and you know, it was also, you know, it was also like a lot of the online concerts. You know, I know that we're trying to stay visible.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, and a couple of people have asked me to do that, and I just, part of the reason I like to perform is interaction of the audience. Yes, you'll have more people maybe watching you live stream a concert, but there's something to me that might be missing. I don't know.
Yeah,
You know, but
for sure. I mean, also more people watching you doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, a view on Facebook or YouTube is sometimes just someone watching 5 seconds and then closing the
that's
browser.
right. That's right.
So the number of views and the sort of viewership on online concerts is kind of a tricky metric. It's not really, but also, yeah, I mean, I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite because every week I'm posting one of these live stream conversations. But the whole part of the point of it for me was like trying to talk with people in a casual way and sort of like bring out maybe discussions and things that wouldn't necessarily be the norm for guitarists posting, like just because, yeah, I wanted to try to bring something a little bit different. But yeah,
sure.
it's a tricky thing to navigate because our egos are wrapped up in social media, our sort of comparison with each other is wrapped up in it, and it's a bit messy sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
it's also messy because it is a powerful business tool. So
It is. Yeah.
and that's not it's easy to be cynical about that, but it's also
Mhm.
true. So how you parse that, I guess everyone has to figure that out for themselves. Yeah, and it's changed our market. It just has.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So anyhow, we have. Let's listen to this Ralph Towner video, and then I have some Would You Rather questions, and then we'll address any last topics before we wrap up. Is that cool?
What route is it? Anniversary song?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm a frustrated jazz guitarist living as a classical
Yeah.
guitarist.
Oh, also, username Skinny Butt Fat says, "Did I miss Mertz?" Yes, you did.
Who?
The username is Skinny Butt Fat, so I'm not sure who this is, but yes, you missed Mertz. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Skinny Butt Fat. But
Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, you can like rewind the video later. It's archived on my channel, and just watch the Merits there. Okay, so we're gonna play Anniversary Song by Ralph Towner. I don't know anything about Ralph Towner.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Ralph Towner, American guitarist, composer, also plays piano.
Cool.
I think how old is he now? He must be 80.
Oh wow. Okay.
Close to 80. Yeah, he's a lot of his music. I mean, if you see any of his videos of him playing, it's he'll improvise in the middle of his pieces.
Cool.
It's really cool stuff. It's really cool stuff. Randall Avers? You know that name?
Nope.
He did a CD of all Towners music not too long ago on Clear Note, same label that my CDs are on. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on Clear Note. Beautiful playing, and I think he studied with Towner. And I know that Matthew McAllister has recorded several pieces by Towner as well. Just there's that just beautiful jazzy sort of lyrical quality to it. It's nice, and it's a little different than what we usually do.
Skinny Buttfest says, "I shall rewind." Diener, it's Dean. I should have known it was Dean.
It's Dean.
Dean outs himself on the Messy Desk show as Skinny Butt.
I started thinking about it, who would that be?
But it's butt with B-U-T, not two T's, just one T, and fat is
okay.
P-H-A-T. So
that's totally Dean.
Yeah, that's totally Dean. Amazing.
Oh my gosh, I miss that guy.
I miss Dean too. I want to see Dean. The last time I saw him was when Nathan and I were there for our little tour. We played for Guitar Hamilton.
Yeah.
And yeah, I miss Dean. That was and I think after the concert, we were having drinks with Emma, and Dean couldn't even really join for that long because he had to go out for his job. This is like,
Yes.
yeah, super intense.
And what a job it is.
Yeah. Anyways, maybe I should have Dean on the show to talk about being a guitar wrangler.
Yeah. If he is a extremely impressive festival wrangler.
Yeah.
Boy wrangler. No, that doesn't sound right. Festival wrangler. We'll go with festival.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's great. He's great. And I know that he came down and worked with Will when Will had his festival, Lone Star, and I think he was trying at one point to extend his services to other festivals. So, yeah, he was on it. He was great.
Yeah, he was great. Dean is great. Okay, let's listen to this Ralph Towner now.
All right.
All right, very nice.
Thank you.
Good job, Kevin.
Thank you.
And Frank Scott is asking, is that a Michael Ritchie guitar?
No, I think that guitar that I played on that was probably my Yulon Glow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the curtain's open. Well, cheers, Kevin.
Cheers, sir. Oh, wait, there it is.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking a brown ale from Good People Brewery here in Alabama.
Oh, nice. I'm drinking a Hertogian Bockbier, which is a very Dutch beer.
Sounds intense.
Yeah. Well, Hertogian is like pretty ubiquitous, sort of like it's not like, I don't know, not like cheap beer, but it's like a sort of nationwide. It's not like a microbrewery or anything.
It's a stout.
It's a dark beer. It is uitgesproken seizoensbier, donker en volmondig. Gebrouwen. Yeah. It's a darker beer.
Okay.
It's got sort of like a fruity flavor. So
okay.
I don't know the exact definition of a bock beer, but it is kind of like that sort of like darker Belgian fruit kind of, flavor palette, which is nice.
I've been expanding my beer knowledge. One thing I do, I have a couple of friends that I'm jamming with every week. One is a fiddle player, and other guy's mandolin player than myself. And we did have a bass player that we played with, moved. So we're in the process of finding a bass player. But the mandolin and the fiddle player, they play bluegrass.
Nice.
But we don't play bluegrass. We just play rock. So we play like Chili Peppers and
nice.
like Prince. Careless Whisper we play, so we just have like all these pop songs we play, like this different instrumentation. Audio Slave, we played a song from Audio Slave,
Nice.
and one of the guys, Fred, who's the mandolin player, he's very knowledgeable in his beard, so he always brings
Nice.
stuff to our Wednesday rehearsals. So.
Cool.
And he's a good friend, so we had some good experiences with the brew.
Nice. Yeah, I think this is like one of the more seasonal beers because this always comes out. I always notice this beer being, in this on the shelves in September, October. So it's like a fall kind of, yeah. I mean, I've been pretty spoiled because like I did my first masters with Daniel Bolshoi in Vancouver, and the West Coast, like the Pacific Northwest, there, like both Victoria, Vancouver, and then like Seattle and Portland and that whole area. That's like a hot spot for like, especially like really good IPAs and stuff. So there's like all this amazing like really hoppy beer from there. And then I moved. Then I moved here, and it's like I'm right next door to Belgium. So so it's like I'm just doubles and triples everywhere, and sort of the monastery brewed kind of stuff.
We had when I was in grad school at FSU, I lived in a place with a guitar. Yeah. 4 guys lived there. 3 of us were guitar students, and a couple of my roommates homebrewed.
Nice.
So we always had, and they were really good at it. We always had great homebrew. We even had a fridge in the kitchen that was a kegerator thing on.
Nice.
Always had some kind of homebrew on a weekly basis. So.
Yeah. How did you get
big science experiment?
Yeah. How did you get any work done?
I had a key to the office, so I was I'd come home after I was done practicing and come in. But and they practiced too, so it wasn't like they were always making beer. Those guys, we all put in our 4
hours,
5, 6 hours, because Bruce would rip you a new one if you came in,
and hadn't worked,
Yeah, I remember going to a lesson one time. He's like, and I stopped playing. I was like, I always mess up in front of you, and he's like, because you don't practice enough. I'm like, don't you dare.
Don't you dare tell me I don't practice enough. Yeah, that's funny.
We've had a lot of pretty funny conversations about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a balancing act within every guitar class, I think, how much you drink and then making sure you still prepare for your teachers, the lessons with your teacher and all that kind of thing. But yeah, with Carlo, it's just like, it's not even that, like this last masters I just finished with Carlo Marchione, like it's not even that he would get mad if you didn't practice. It's just that he demanded us to play so much music and go through so much. And he wouldn't sort of like stop and help you through like a passage that you're finding hard. He'd be like, okay, here's this articulated, do this and this, you got doing this wrong. And then he'd like make you do it once right, even if it's not very good. And he's like, okay, you have to work on that. And then move to the next passage. And then you kind of have this expectation when you come in for the next lesson that like you've applied all those things he did.
Sure.
And you'd go through. I remember I prepared the first year I was coming in, and during the summer I started working on the 5th Brauer Sonata, the Ars Combinatoria, and I learned like the whole thing in the summer. And I was like, okay, I've got Bach and like a bunch of other things that I want to work on during the year, but this will do me for like 2 or 3 months, right? This sonata will be like enough for like 2 months of lessons. No, 3 lessons in, we'd gone through the whole sonata because he had moved so fast through everything. And it's not that he didn't put details in, because Carlo's an incredibly detailed person, but for him, it was like enough to put it in the score. And then the expectation was like, oh yeah, you're going to bring something else next week. That's, and I just hadn't really had a teacher who kind of sort of would expect you to learn a hard piece real fast and be able to apply a bunch of stuff and then move on to something else. Cause why would you waste your time going over the same things again,
Yeah.
Which actually was really good for me in the end, because that sort of teaches you to be a professional in some ways,
Oh yeah, sure.
Cause once you're out of school, you don't sort of like necessarily have a whole bunch of extra time to learn a piece when you have to play it in a gig. Sometimes you get asked to play Aranjuez, and it's like you get asked last minute, and
you gotta do it
or whatever. Yeah. So
yeah.
It's just funny the different ways that teachers get you to have a higher expectation of yourself, even if they don't like say it.
Right. Yeah.
Anyhow, David Schramm says beautiful performance.
Thank you.
And Frank Scott says love the piece, and of course the rendition sounds great.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's play some classical guitar. Would you rather, Kevin? You ready?
What are we doing?
Would you rather?
Oh, okay.
Would you rather have dead strings or be dead inside while on stage?
Dead inside. I would probably. That's a great question. I might go with dead strings.
Dead strings. Okay. Would you rather have bad sound or bad articulation during a concert?
Oh,
Like you're having trouble controlling your right hand, so you can't articulate very well. Like,
I always have you seen my right hand?
okay, so
Look at this thumb, dude.
so your articulation's already bad, so you'd rather have good sound.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have to go with it's all about the sound. So, I mean,
Yeah,
mess up some articulation, then
it's okay.
gotta hit it the next time.
Would you rather teach a student with a bad attitude or bad flatulence?
Oh, that's a good one. Oh. Well, if you have a student with a bad attitude, you can always tell them to leave. If you have a student with bad flatulence, you can always tell them to leave too.
Yeah, that's fair. Either way, you can tell them to leave. Oh,
Either way, you can say, yeah, I actually did kick a student out one time because, this is back when I lived in New York. She was, oh man, she was work.
yeah,
And she, the first time I met her, she said, "Hey, my uncle can play guitar better than you." I'm like, "Well, good for him. That's awesome. Good for your uncle."
yeah,
That was like our first conversation.
yeah.
Now, of course, all my students like, "No, have you heard him play?
Have you heard him play? Yeah.
Right.
You're like, I don't
and
actually
I was
care.
just right. So, and then she just like one day, I mean, she was just a very, very rude student, and she ended it when she said something extremely rude, and I was just like, dude, so annoyed with her.
Yeah,
I was laughing, and there's just rip one. I'm like, we're done.
yeah, we're done.
And that was it. That was it.
Yeah, that's
But I'm trying to think if I've ever had. No, I did. I did have a student who used to like rip one, but he was kind of a funny guy. He'd just be sitting there. He's like, "So that rip." I'm like, "Dude, come on,
Yeah,
you're a university student. How are we doing this?"
yeah.
So I would probably go with. I would rather teach the student probably with bad.
Bad flatulence. Okay,
Yeah, why not?
that's fair. Would you rather play a concert with a bad headache or bad flatulence?
Depends on what repertoire I was playing.
Right. If there are a lot
if
of
I was
like,
playing like the first part of, if I was playing Canicum,
Yeah.
if I was playing the Hina Sonata, the last movement,
you can
just let it rip because you can just, and just move
just
around.
like move around and make a lot of noise. Yeah.
Like that, the Family Guy episode when, Lois is talking about how, Peter always covers his parts up with coughing.
Right.
So, yeah. Just play something loud and just go with it.
That's funny. Would you rather play with a chamber partner who is not very good at following or leading, or one who is like really, really, really unimaginative when it comes to like, dynamics and articulations and sort of a robotic kind of,
I'd go with the first one.
Yeah.
And I just hope for the best.
Yeah, but at least then it's musical.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
The hell with some robot playing.
Yeah, you can't have it all.
Nope.
Nice. Yeah, I guess to wrap up, like what do you think has changed in classical guitar education in America in the recent past, and what else do you think should change? Like, where do you think it should go now?
I think the big change has been just the explosion of guitars in the schools. I mean, especially here in the U.S. It's been awesome. We're just exposing so many kids to classical guitar, and they're loving it. And it's just a way to attract other students. You're not getting the kids who are going to be in band, the kids who are going to be in choral, the kids who are going to be in strings. You're getting kids who want to play guitar. You're going to get the jock who's the captain of the football team who wants to play guitar. You're going to get the loner sort of gothic kid who doesn't really talk to him. You're going to get a wide range of students, and I think it's been really, really cool for that. yeah, just the exposure to the instrument, and a lot of these programs, a lot of these high schools, they have great teachers, and they're playing for their students. They're bringing in their friends that went to college with them, and they're playing. So they're just getting, I think it's going to really help our audience, hopefully, in the future.
Yeah.
And the way.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just really believe that audiences are built for classical guitar, they don't just exist,
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if we really do ourselves any favors sometimes because, I'm a big fan of the guitar. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the guitar. I'm a big fan of the guitar music. I'm not a fan of, and I'm sure I'll piss somebody off, but whatever. I'm not a fan of, going to see a guitar concert and seeing like half of the program made up of transcriptions and arrangements. We have a great repertoire. Why not play it?
Right.
And then there's a percentage of classical guitarists that are so like hell bent on like we need to get the classical music audience to like us.
Right. Yeah.
And so we're going to
audience?
Right. I know. Right, all 7 of them.
Yeah.
Well, the ones that go to the symphony, the ones that go, to opera performances.
Is that really who you want, though?
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
But those are the ones. I mean, look at opera. Look at that's where the money's being poured in. And so we're going to introduce them to an instrument that it just looks like a. It's like, oh, okay. Well, here's a guitarist and he's playing Beethoven, but Beethoven didn't write for the. So I think it's even something like, I'm sure again somebody's gonna probably send me a hate email. Poetico's free. Okay, that piece. Yes, it's a transcription. It's not a guitar piece. Yes, I like guitar players play it, but on the piano, it's not some crazy virtuosic piece. On the guitar, it is. So if you have someone who's never been to a guitar concert before, not familiar with that piece because they heard a recording of it, or maybe they played it when they were 5th grade, and then you see some, virtuoso guitarist struggling through it, they're going to be like, what is this? What are we watching?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think we need to do a better job at promoting our music, and it's a really exciting time. Think about it. So much music is being written for it. So much music is being discovered for it. I'm trying to do my part and play guitar music.
Yeah.
I'm trying to play things that aren't played very often. I have several friends that are composers, and I'm trying to, play their music. Apostolos Periskevas dedicated a piece for me. And before the whole pandemic hit, I was supposed to go up to Boston and premiere it. And that's unfortunately didn't happen, but I'm going to record it hopefully next summer, and hopefully premiere it whenever we get a chance to play again. Troy Gifford, who's a great composer in Florida, he actually won the last set piece competition for GFA. I premiered several of his works, and he's written some stuff for me, and just wonderful stuff. And then my friend Andrew Hall, who just published a set of etudes in Mel Bay. They are probably some of the coolest etudes I've heard or played in recent time. I mean, they're just amazing, and amazing pieces. And so those are just 3 guys.
And also, just like make friends with composers. Like this is something that Steve Cowan said when he was on the show. You got to be friends with these people and learn about their music. And my whole research project in Maastricht was my whole thesis research thing was on how guitarists and composers collaborate. And basically the main factor that makes it successful is having that relationship and having good communication. And composers aren't just going to write for our instrument if they don't know us, I think. So yeah. And also I know I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't play music by guitar composers, because there's a lot of that should be represented better as well. But also, if you want to expand the repertoire, like we have to, if you want to get the guitar out of where it is right now, the best thing over the long run is going to be to get composers who don't play the guitar to write for it, I think.
Right.
But of course that comes with its own unique challenges, and that's part of the reason I had the research project, because it's a pretty tricky instrument to get composers to write for and then to make something successful with.
I know guitarists that don't like to write I know guitarists who are composers and don't like the record. I mean,
Yeah. But that's part of the reason you need that relationship, and that's also, I think it's not an instrument that actually lends itself naturally to the sort of like separation between composer and player.
Mhm.
So, and I'm not saying that to dissuade people from playing music that's written by non-guitarists. I'm just saying that you need certain circumstances to make that music successful, and one of those things is that close relationship and back and forth, and willingness to be collaborative about it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
which actually, I'll say this because I'm part of this composition competition. I'm not sure who's listening, who's a composer. I just shared this not too long ago. There's an organization here in Montgomery. It's called Clefworks. And a bunch of people that love classical music and got together and wanted to present it in a unique way. And I've done several house concerts for them and outreach programs here in Montgomery for them. Amazing organization. They're having a composition competition this year for guitar.
Cool.
And string quartet.
Nice.
So
that's
I think
awesome.
the 18 to 35-year-old composers, if you're out there and want to compete for this, I think the work has to be at least 6 minutes long, or up to 6 minutes. I have to look at the rules.
Is it up to 6 minutes? Because I would suggest that Nathan submit the sonata he wrote for me, but it's 21 minutes long. So
yeah, tell him to write something shorter.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I mean, hold on a second. I can just look it up real quick.
Yeah, look it up.
I believe it's. Where is it? Where is it?
Yeah, I mean, just in the meantime, I do really agree with you that there's a sort of anti-guitar repertoire sentiment within the guitar community, which is odd.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that we have some weak repertoire out there, but that's true for every instrument, and I think it's just strange to me because some people seem to have this attitude, this like sort of self-deprecating, and I love to be self-deprecating about the guitar. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm the first person to enjoy like sort of classical guitar shit posting where it's like, making fun of our instrument and our tendencies, because it's just fun to make fun of yourself, right? But there's a point that people take it to where it seems like they think that our repertoire is just like inherently extra weak compared to the average instrument, and I don't get it because, like we were saying before, there's so much out there that's so rich that nobody's playing. It seems like there's not enough players to play a lot of the good stuff that's out there that doesn't really get played. And
well, we also just play what we hear.
Yeah.
We go to a festival and you hear. I mean, that's the Capriccio Segovia. Everybody's playing that. What's the number 18?
Yeah, I played number 18 because I love it. But there's 24 of them, and they're all amazing.
That's right. Right. There's 24. Let's hear some of the other ones. I mean, that's a great one, but there's some other ones.
Yeah, for sure. And that's
or Brouwer. I mean, how many? Brouwer Sonata. I love Brouwer. Is probably my favorite guitarist composer. But I've heard the Brouwer Sonata, the first one, 8 million times now.
That's why I played 5.
Yeah, and let's hear some of the other ones. Right.
Yeah.
So, Rodrigo. Oh my gosh, Rodrigo.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you heard Sonata a la Española?
Yeah.
In concert.
Part of the problem is that we pick up pieces when we're young and naive, and we just hear other people in the festivals, and then we pick them up, and then they become part of your repertoire. Like one of my competition pieces that I always play is Junto al Generalife. I love that piece, but I'm just kind of like kicking myself that I didn't pick like one of the other ones from that set. Because all the other ones, except for En Los Trigales, but all the other, besides Junto and En Los Trigales, all the other ones nobody really plays, but they're great.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, if I'd picked one of those, like, it'd be great, because now I'm like stuck playing this one a little bit. I mean, that's a bit of a cop-out. I mean, and I'm trying to change that tendency, but, it's just this phenomenon where, like, you get things in your program, and when you do a competition, you want to play things you're secure on, you've been playing for years, and so it's a bit of a catch-22, but...
I mean, in competition rep, that's a whole other topic. I always tell people, I think competitions are, you want to show more of your individuality than anything, not your what everybody else is playing. I'm not a big competition guy. I did several when because I just felt like I had to.
Yeah, I'm not.
And everything that I did was, all the repertoire that I chose was, obscure. Dawn of the Last Day by Clemens. Not a typical competition piece. The Kellner Fantasies, and what else did I play? When I won Montreal, Gene, I played 2 Kellner Fantasies, Salvador Broton's 2 Suggestions, which I heard that in concert. and then the
Yeah,
playings.
only Tom Clippinger plays those, I think.
That's right. Yeah, right. Only Tom. So
And Tom plays
actually,
weird. Tom plays weird things.
Ricardo Cobo recorded that too. So.
Oh, okay.
And David Russell actually used to play the Broton.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was funny. He played at Florida State. I had this bootleg recording of him playing in the 80s, I think. And he was playing at Florida State, playing the Brotons. Had no idea that Brotons was actually a doctoral student at Florida State.
Oh, that's funny.
So somebody called him and said, "Hey, man, Deborah Russell's here playing your piece." He's like, "What?" And he like rushed over to
Yeah,
you know.
that's amazing.
So, yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, I agree with you. I think in a competition you want to show individuality more than anything, or that's actually the best thing to do, regardless of whether you win. Because, and this is something that I heard Marchandila say, which I thought was really brilliant, is that whether you win or not, the point of the competition is to win fans. And what he means by fans, is people who like your playing, who are other guitarists often.
That's my when I changed that sort of like philosophy, because I was always worried, I want to win.
Yeah, but
then I realized I'm not a winning kind of. That's not me as a player. I'm not going to wow you with like.
And think about the fact that if you have an open round, or even if you don't have open rounds, if the jury hears you and you don't pass because of whatever the scores happen to be, because there's some black magic that goes on with the arithmetic around the scores and how they get added. There's probably going to be one of the jury members, if you played really well and represented yourself well, which, you hope you do. If you did and you still didn't pass, that jury member who saw you might really love your playing, and that could lead to a relationship and exactly opportunities down the road and whatever. The point is, it's less about the result there at that moment. Anyways, but
yeah,
what I was going to say is that I don't do a lot of competitions either, partly just because, well, the investment of money to do them versus the payoff is pretty low. And I'd kind of rather build my career in other ways, to be honest. But like something like the Rodrigo de Junta Generalife, I try to mix that in with a lot of other kind of out there stuff to sort of like leave an anchor point for people of sort of, but it's a delicate balancing act, which is actually another question I had before the show that I wanted to ask is, how do you think you can program a successful concert? Like, what should people think about when they're trying to program something, or a performance? Like, what are the principles you would follow in programming?
Well, I mean, at this point, I'd probably just find things.
Sorry,
I just try to find things I can play.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
It's hard. And the reason I say that, I know it's kind of funny, but it's true. My life right now is crazy. Full time. I've got 2 kids that are, both play travel sports and are in schools that are academically very challenging. Mm-hmm. And my wife is she works full time. She's a therapist, so she's in private practice. So it's hard to find time to really sit down and like practice 4 hours a day. Just can't do it.
Yeah.
And with my type of job, I understand a lot of guys that have my type of job really stop playing a lot.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to do was, to continue. So I had to change some things around in my repertoire. I'm not going to play Britney on the same program ever. Or because why would I do that to myself? So I try to find things that I really connect to, that I don't have to do a lot to maintain.
Yeah.
I still, I want to find quality things. I'm not going to be like, I'm going to just play a bunch of easy crap. No, that's not what I'm saying. I still want to work and push my musical abilities and my technique in certain ways, but at the same time, I'm not going to kill myself and play a concert with
it's also like you also don't want to exhaust the audience, I mean,
right,
which is a thing that maybe the typical master's doctoral student, I mean, doctoral students a bit of a different thing because they're usually generally starting to mature a little bit, but when you program a concert, you don't kind of want to program something that's just like a big, crazy, huge challenge for you, which is kind of the mentality you have in a master's or even an undergrad degree, because
it's not real life, really.
Yeah, the point of the concert is to show a coherent musical narrative that's enjoyable, not to sort of like,
and and your audience will know if you're on stage having a hard time, and
Yeah.
you don't want that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny that the concerts that I played, last spring, I just decided, I think 2018, I was playing still like counter and playing Baroque music and classical romantic stuff. And then I decided, January 2019, change things around for the programs that I was doing. I just went just all guitar music, nothing before phone thing. Everything was after phone thing.
Yeah.
And I had the most enjoyable time I think I've ever had in my life playing concerts. I played Ponce, I played Houghton, Brower, Vanderstuck piece that you're going to hear in a little bit. Geraldo Tamez, Ernesto Cordero, just guitar pieces, and it was, dare I say, I had fun. It was cool. Yeah. And then I did a couple Latin programs where, I threw in the Merlin suite, and it was great. I had a blast. I didn't have to kill myself with, practicing 6 hours a day with it. I could just play it. It was somewhat liberating. I actually enjoy playing guitar.
Do you think that has to do with
concerts, and it was fun?
Do you think that also has to do with who you are and what kind of repertoire you gravitate towards and what you're good at? I mean, because I think
Maybe.
I think that's kind of something that I don't want to prescribe your situation, but I think that's something that a lot of people don't consider, is that we are all individuals. Like, I know people who are naturally just great at learning Baroque music and playing Baroque music. I think it's a bit rare, but. And some of them get totally lost when they have to play something weird and modern, or not necessarily modern, but sort of avant-garde or whatever, So I don't know. I feel, and whereas for me, memorizing and executing something sort of out there is actually a lot more straightforward, in a lot of ways.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but I love playing Baroque music.
Right.
I've never stopped playing music. I think
it's just a question of time, I guess.
Yeah, it was just just take a different approach, just to see what would happen. And I felt like it was more natural.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of expanding it a little bit more and looking at the Mattiello sonatas, which is still guitar music.
Yeah.
And again, pieces that I also gravitate towards pieces that aren't played very often. I know I said Merlin, and Merlin is overplayed. It's a fun piece to play. But Matiega's not played very often. Peter Vanderstock's not played very often. Even a lot of music by Ernesto Cordero. Cordero is a great composer. You don't really hear a lot of this stuff. Geraldo Tamez, Mexican composer.
Or I have a student who recently bought a bunch of music online by Eduardo Martin and Walfido Dominguez, because he saw my episode with Ahmed Dickinson.
Okay.
Was that Cuban guitarist living in London? Anyways, and we're working through them in the lessons, and it's super cool stuff, but nobody knows them. And I'm like, this is a great alternative. Not that you need an alternative, but great alternative to the Brower etudes, or sort of the more Latin.
Are you talking about the album de la Inocencia? Is that the
Maybe.
Eduardo Martin piece that you're talking about?
Maybe. There's a set of exercises from both Martin and Dominguez.
There's 10 pieces that Eduardo Martin wrote. It's called Album de la Inocencia.
Maybe.
And there's that piece, Mirándote, that's a lot of people play.
Oh, okay.
That's in it. Those are great pieces.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just interesting because it's got a lot of the same elements as the Brower, but we just don't really hear it, So I feel like this is a common theme we keep coming back to in this conversation.
Yeah. Well, lots of great stuff. All it takes is just a little bit of research.
Yeah.
And you'll, find it.
Cool. Nice. Well, is there anything you want to say, shout out, mention before we wrap up and listen to the Vanderstack while we outro?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I already talked about it. I did want to mention Andrew's because they're Repertoire and easily available. I think what else can I say?
We've said everything.
Not everything. Some things about certain stuff.
Yeah. We got to leave some stuff for when I have you back on in a year or two,
There you go. There you go.
Well, thank you, Kevin. It's been amazing, and
Thank you.
I'm glad that we met all those years ago in Hamilton, and that we stay connected, even though we're in different continents during a global pandemic.
Yep. It's something, man. I'm never in our lifetime will we see this again. I hope.
Yeah, I hope so.
Get through this.
Yeah.
Because this is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit brutal because it's unprecedented in a lot of ways. Although at the same time, I also think, like, on scale compared to, like, how the sort of flu of 1918 went down and the Black Death. I mean, we're just the technology and the communication we have is making this a lot less lethal than it would have been even 40, 50 years ago.
Right.
So there's that, but the effect professionally on musicians is pretty intense.
Sure.
Although I keep saying to people, and me and Jessica keep saying this to each other and to our friends, like, we're super lucky in the sense that as classical musicians, we have this sort of, like, ready-made resume for teaching, and that we've both have quite large private studios that have been really, really wonderful. Our students have been very flexible, going to online and reducing in-person lessons and all that kind of stuff, and trying to be. And so, I just feel extremely lucky that I can still make a living in the midst of this, whereas a lot of musicians who perform exclusively,
Yeah.
I can't imagine being like a gigging musician who plays in, like, bars.
No,
or
I
something.
can't.
So, yeah.
This.
So we're sort of on balance, we're doing okay, but it's still unprecedented for sure, and worrying. And I know it's worse a little bit in the U.S. for a lot of you than it is for us here.
Yeah, we still have a lot of people who don't believe this is
Yeah.
So maybe they'll change after what happened last week.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the irony is a little thick. But it's been a little intense here too, not to get too deep into politics, but the Dutch government has not been very good about sort of, especially mask wearing and stuff. And there's a lot of people who are really unwilling to do it. And it's been a little bit interesting. The cases were up to something like 5,000 a day here now, new cases. So.
Well, thank goodness that once this started to kind of roll back in the spring, our mayor just said, we're gonna have a mask with because the numbers were skyrocketing.
Yeah.
They tried to pass a city ordinance. You had doctors who were in the front lines came to the city council meeting, and of course, one half of the council was like, "No, we're not going to do this because people's rights and all that other."
Yeah.
And then the other half voted, so it was split, tied, and they didn't pass. That night, one of the council members went home, and his wife said, "Look, if our daughter was still alive, like their daughter died of cancer, if she was still alive, so go change this, do the right thing."
Yeah.
The next day, I think he met with the mayor, and the mayor passed an executive order, and
wow,
here we go. We have a mask ordinance, and then they tried to pass it again several weeks later, or maybe it was a month later, and it was unanimous. But one guy did not vote, and he was the biggest critic about it when the doctors. So, but we still have it. Our governor's extended the mask order, but you still see people not wearing masks at stores. And the nice thing about the mask is they can't read my lips.
Yeah.
That's so I can't tell you how many things I've said. Behind my mask, like, you.
Yeah. So, it's like your personal censor, just like.
I know. So hopefully one day. I mean, I don't want to get fired. Hopefully, I won't actually slip and say what I.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit intense. I mean, the other thing is, like, I'm complaining a little bit about the fact that people aren't taking it too seriously here, and the government's not. They had a press release last week where they said they urgently advise masks, but they didn't make a rule about it. But at the same time, at least in the Netherlands, you have like a good healthcare system, and everybody has it. It's like everyone's taken care of more or less. So at least there's that. So anyhow, we don't have to go deep into that, but it's an interesting time. It's tricky. And I mean, the thing I'm finding hard is like a young professional and like building my career is just sort of like, what opportunities do I take? I have some gigs that are within, government rules, but it's like, it feels weird accepting an offer to play, but also you don't want to say no. And then it's like, when someone asks, how much do you look into how they're following rules? And it's just kind of a mess. And like, normally I'm the kind of person who's sending emails, looking for opportunities, trying to like drum up, new leads, network, travel to see, other people and possibly play in their area, blah, blah, blah. But now I don't even want to like open my email to like make that stuff happen, because it just feels like, well, it could get canceled anyways. So.
Well, look, man, I mean, I told you this a couple weeks ago when we were chatting back and forth. I actually played a wedding.
Yeah.
I have not played a wedding in forever, and I just thought, I was recommended by a friend. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to like not do it. And it's outdoors, and like, it was actually cool to play in front of people,
Yeah.
So, and it's been a long time. So it was cool to just sit there and play, and, people listen. And it's not like, it wasn't like playing, one of these corporate events where everybody's talking and drinking and trying to talk over your playing. So it was actually a pretty cool experience. And if there are any other outdoor weddings that are in this area, but why not?
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and I don't totally know how to approach like what gigs to take and which ones not to, and how to do the hustle. And I mean, I'm focusing on recording. I have a lot of recording projects coming up. I'm going to make a new CD this year. I'm, making a lot of videos and getting better with editing and producing audio and video. And so that's all good. I mean, those are skills that translate no matter what. So, but at the same time, again, I'm trying not to flood Facebook with like meaningless posts of my videos, So.
That's right. Yeah. I'm not, because I'm kind of in the same boat. I've talked to a friend of mine who wants to record me. So I do have a plan for an upcoming disc, hopefully next summer.
Yeah.
Record, post Lewis's piece, play the Vanderstack, since it hasn't really been recorded that much. And then a couple other pieces that are inspired by literature. Houghton's Haunted Sonata, such a cool piece, and maybe some other stuff. But so yeah, I'm sure that the plan was record the disc, make some videos, and go from there. And hopefully, we can have live performance before that.
Yeah, maybe have a vaccine and stuff in time for a CD release.
There you go.
Would be good. Okay, well, let's listen to your Vanderstack to close out the show. Thank you, everyone for watching. Hit Kevin up. I put the link to his Facebook page there, so you can find him through there. Contact him. Tell him how much he needs to smile more.
Quick thing about the Vanderstack. This was recorded at the Sable Beach Guitar Festival.
Cool.
And it was basically a piece for solo guitar and cricket. So you'll hear cricket throughout. So, but
cool.
I did not break my concentration. I kept playing.
Nice. And another, it's nice. We started with Annette Kruisbrink, a Dutch composer, ending with Vanderstack, who's a Dutch composer also.
Yeah.
Me and Jessica played some of his pieces for voice and guitar at some point.
Again, he's written some cool stuff. He's got a beautiful theme variation and finale, substantial, like 9 minutes long.
Yeah.
Never hear it, but great piece.
I'm trying to remember where he taught. Was it in Groningen or something? I can't remember where he taught before he. Yeah, I don't remember. Anyways, it's cool. Yeah, represent the Dutch. Okay, so let's hear these 3 moods by Vanderstack and close out the show. Oh, I should also say to everyone who's watching, you can tune in on Friday because Emma Rush is coming on with her Wake the Sigh album release. So it's a very cool album. And she's going to bring on the producer and audio engineer as well for the disc. So we're going to talk about the recording process, the music, the repertoire, all that stuff. It's going to be awesome. Super cool. And then after that is Will Douglas on the 18th. So Emma's on the 9th of October and Will Douglas is on the 18th. All right, let's listen to some Vanderstack. Thank you, Kevin. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
It's been great. And thanks to everyone who watched. You guys are all awesome. Okay, time for Vanderstack.
Bye.